Welcome to part 1 of Competency 9 quiz. In this video, we will work with lines, angles, and congruent triangles. Okay, number 1. In the diagram above, line 1 is parallel to line 2. If the measure of angle B is equal to 100 degrees, what is the measure of angle E? Okay, so let's start labeling and think about what we have here. We can utilize the properties of two parallel lines with a transversal. So I've highlighted the parallel lines and obviously the unlabeled line, okay, that is our transversal and that creates all kinds of great congruencies. So if you invoke all of those theorems and properties, we know that uh, B and C are 100. Now that we see that, we know that the adjacent angle, such as A, we know that that's 80. Okay, now that I've done that, you see two other properties that would work. Okay, well, let's use the one that's the easiest to see. Because of these two parallel lines and this one transversal, this interior, these two angles must equal 180, and that tells us E is 80. Okay, all right, so let's move to number 2. Okay, number 2 is a little bit tougher. Okay, let ABC be a triangle where AB has length 4 and BC has length 8. For which of the following possible lengths of AC is ABC an obtuse triangle? So what this is really, and they want us to select all that apply. Either way, what they're trying to do is say, okay, invoke or use the triangle inequality property. So no matter which ones exactly they're labeled, okay, right here, I'll circle this instead. Yes, they've said AB is 4. And then they said BC is 8. Okay. Well, what you're doing is you can move around, like I showed in a prior video. You can move around the lines backwards and forwards, okay, to create a smaller or larger angle. So this is going to be our 4. This is going to be our 8. And we don't know what this third angle is, okay? So what we have to do is, given our options, we just simply move the legs around in our inequality and compare, okay? So it would be from smallest to largest. So of course, I'm going to have 4 squared first, okay? Now, I don't know what's going to be next, and I'll tell you why. We're going to use these guys first, and we are going to move them in and out in order. So we're going to call this x squared. So these guys we're going to replace with the x, a, b, and c. And then they have to be less than, okay? Now I'm going to use 8 squared, okay? That is a triangle inequality, comparing the sides or all of the lengths, your two legs and the hypotenuse. But in this case, it's not necessarily a hypotenuse because, well, it isn't, because we're going to make one of them larger than 90 degrees, okay? So we're talking about obtuse. So that's why this inequality will work, okay? All right, because we're not exactly equal, dokie, but we're looking at 8. C, look at C. If that were 8, that just wouldn't apply. So automatically, C just simply doesn't make sense in our inequality. But what we do need to do is set this up and think about what would work. Well, we know 8 times 8 is 64. Okay. So we can use our table again, clear out what you have, and I'm going to say 4 squared plus x squared. And I'm going to enter, and just leave 0, 1 there, but I'm going to leave it on ask. You want it on ask, and I'm just going to quickly ask my calculator. Oh, see, I have a prior problem in there, so delete this, delete this, delete this. Okay, I'm going to go up to the first line. Remember, we only have 3 lines, but we only need 2 of them. So I'm going to say 6, enter. Ooh, is that going to be less than 64? Yes. So I'm going to say A is one of our options. Absolutely. Okay. Now let's try 7. Oh, that's greater than 64. Even 1 digit more. Okay. That's not a good integer value. So I'm going to mark off that. Okay. Now we have to change our setup because now what do we have? We're going to have 4 here. I'll change colors for us. Okay. So here, and let's get rid of this. Now we need to use these two, 9 and 10. Okay, so we have 4 squared plus 8 squared must be less than x squared. Okay, you can just type those in and you know that. Here, there's a couple ways. You could use your table, but if I used my table, I would be doing this, and it makes sense. I know that this is 64. So I would say 64 is less than x squared minus the 4 squared. So now I'm measuring to be larger than 64. Okay, so let's go back and do that. It's just another way to see it, and it is a little faster. Okay, so I'm going to type in x here, arrow over. I need a no, no, no. Yeah, subtraction. But that's in the wrong place. So I'm going to delete. Make sure you type over correctly. And now I need 4 here. Okay. And yeah, I know 4 times 4 is 16. But you're trying to take a test. So probably best to just go with what you've got, written down and let the calculator do the calculations for you. I could even, I, I know 8 squared, I need that value. So that's why I went ahead and said 8 times 8 is 64. Okay. All right. So let's push enter. Okay. And let's go back to ask and ask this time. But I can type over or delete. But I like to delete so you can see this. Okay. So now let's try 9. Is that greater than 64? Yes, it is. Okay. So now let's try 10. And yes, 84. So the options that are correct would make it an obtuse triangle are 6, 9, and 10. Okay? All right, let's move on to number 3. Number 3, use the image above. What is the value of x? Okay, well, if we have both angles added together, that is called complementary because of this little right angle we have for both of them. Okay, so we need to see what this equals. Well, 90 minus the 35, that gives us the 55. So what do? We go to table, clear everything out, and say 1 plus 3x, push enter, and we will use ask again and put in each item and see when we get 55. So delete this, let's try 55 itself. Probably not going to work, but let's try. No, obviously it didn't equal 55. Ooh, B's huge. No way that's gonna work. No. So you should have saw really quickly that that's not an option. Okay. Sometimes they put answers in there like that, and you're just like, okay, that's a crazy answer. Mark it out. They're trying to see if, and I'm looking at this, and I'm seeing that maybe you might accidentally, they're seeing if you'll accidentally use supplementary and that you'll use the wrong number. You'll use 180 minus 35. I don't know. Maybe your mind would go there. During a test, who knows where our minds go, right? Okay, so now let's try 18 and push enter. Ooh, that works. Just for safety. I'm going to go up to 55. I'm going to put in 35, type over, and see it doesn't work. So I know that C is verified. Okay, now let's try this next one, number 4. Okay, it says, use the figure below, da da da. Okay, same thing. Given that the measure of alpha equals 2x, okay, and the measure of beta equals, okay, 4x minus 6. What is the value of x? Well, here is our supplementary, okay? So we add those two adjacent angles together and they equal 180. Okay, so 2x plus, and I don't need parentheses because I have a plus, so it won't change what I have. You could add a parentheses for safety's sake. Think about positive and negatives, it won't change anything. Minus 6 equals 180. So to save time, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to do any manipulation at all. I will put the left-hand side in, arrow until I find 180 and go with it, okay? Because I'm not looking for a total angle measure. They didn't ask me for alpha or beta. They simply asked for X, which is easier on us, okay? All right, so let's clear back to this, clear that out, and say 2x, right? And then plus 4x minus the 6. Press enter, and I'm going to use the ask option again. Delete everything out, go back up, use all my spaces. Let's try 50. No, that does not equal 180. And 43, nope. 24, nope. Well, let's try 31. Last one, cross our fingers. Yes, that equals 180. So the last one, H, works. This is the last question in this video. I wanted to thank you for watching and liking and sharing and subscribing. You are helping to keep these materials free for everyone, so everyone can pass their certification test or any other tests they're trying to pass. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Happy testing.